weekend. Now, there are a few announcements that have happened, a few things that you need to look out for, but those are not the subject of this video per se. This one is going to focus more on a small tax restructuring model. That could be something to look out for whenever the Faucet V2 comes out, because it has been in talks, but no one really knows what actually is part of Faucet V2. But I took it upon myself to come up with a small model, or basically a few tax restructuring calculation as to how, also factoring in the future anticipated demand to all the extra layers of protocol that are coming our way. So all of that good stuff is put together by myself. By no means I'm no expert, no developer. It's just me playing with numbers, and hopefully this will bring you some value. So yeah, let's really get into this video. Now, bear with me. I'm going to try to go a bit slower and explain what are the numbers I put in here between whatever the data structure is today and the proposed one that I basically put together. But there are always variables into play that we have to account. First of all, demand and supply. That's the main driver behind all of the markets. So demand has to be on point, otherwise nothing is going to happen, right? That's one thing. Secondly, we have the macroeconomic factors of the market as well. So the market is really affected. That will lead to a decrease in the demand and so on. And thirdly, the drip ecosystem itself. So if things are rolling out as they're supposed to, it's also going to drive more demand. So, and variables, and when you take numbers into consideration based on variables, those could be interchangeable and they could basically differ from one month to another. So that's why taking an average is always the best interpretation, even though it's not really accurate, but it could give you an idea of what could happen. So with that being said, you're all familiar, I guess, with Dune.com. This is where you can get faucet analytics. So you have this website and that website. However, this one right here could give you what is the amount of drip into the faucet, and we are at a staggering 27 point, almost 0.5 million drip deposited into the faucet. Now, yeah, other stuff as well. So you have how many drip tokens are in the wallets sitting, so liquid drip, and how much has been paid out. You have some graphs. So yeah, you can go to this website and check all of these cool analytics, numbers and graphs. Alright, so with that being said, with that in mind, so today we have a total obligation of that much, meaning 1% of this has to be paid every single day, right? So if you do quick math, that would be about 274,500 drip tokens to be paid as dividends. And if everyone decides to claim that, that has to be taken out from the tax pool, and when that depletes, inflation kicks in. Hence where we are right now. Now, what we're playing here with is not basically deposits or claims directly, but we're gonna touch upon a very interesting factor that has led many team builders inflate their faucets beyond imagining, and hence they are increasing the obligations on a monthly basis. And that is the referral bonus, because right now on hydrates, whenever you hydrate, let's assume we generated that much, we hydrated 5% of that amount is 13,725. So this amount will be given to the team leads, right? 5%. That's a lot of drip. Imagine that amount increasingly being added up to the team builders. Now, surely they airdrop some, if some team lead are not airdropping, that's their problem. But yeah, some are airdrop. But again, long term, because it's added to their faucets, it's increasing their 1% and so on. You know, the avalanche effect. So that's a lot of drip to be given to team leads on a daily basis. Hence, and also that could be showcased. Like if you look at the faucet obligations, that's the increase on a month-to-month basis. So that's how much the faucet has increased from beginning of January till the end of January. If you compare it till July, that number keeps on growing, right? Here there was a huge jump Because, simply put, January, February, we were at a near all-time high, so more people were claiming, meaning the deposits and the faucet deposits were not increasing as much. But then when price started to drop, hydrating started to occur more, and hence you see this big jump from 1% to almost 45%. And like I said, that number, the fluctuation on a monthly basis, keeps on growing. And eventually we're gonna end up here at what, like 40 million drip faucet obligations, so that's a lot. And yeah, like I said, this is highlighted here. So averagely we are growing, so 6 months in, our faucet deposit grew 25%. So perhaps after the year is, it's that 7 month actually, perhaps at the end of the year we'll be at like 40-45% at this growth rate, and that's a lot. Now whatever I have on the right here is my proposed tax structure. So instead of getting all of this 5%, now of course team builders have to be rewarded for putting in the effort, bringing exposure to the drip community, all of that good stuff. But what if you decrease all of that, and then they're still getting the rewards, but at the same time you're benefiting the protocol? What if you can do that? And that's why, for me personally, as a team builder, I think this is a good solution. I would rather have a healthy protocol that is giving me a long-term cash flow than an unhealthy protocol that would give me more short-term, but then it would collapse. So that's why I would rather go with this model. But of course, any similar model out there, and perhaps there's something to it underneath what is being constructed. If we're talking about V2 faucet, perhaps there's some logic out there already, but that's just my opinion again. So instead of giving all the 5% to the team builder, it's gonna go to his faucet and also to the tax vault, evidently. 2% could go to him, and the other 3% would be split. 1.5% he would go directly to the tax vault, and 1.5% would be totally burned. By totally burned, I mean that it's completely gone out of circulation, reducing the max supply of the drip token. And that is the main de facto here. We need to include a burning mechanism that would not offset the tax vault so maliciously, but at the same time we need to decrease that maximum supply to become more relevant again. Now that's assuming all of the tokens have been hydrated, and that's never the case. Now looking at this website that would give a nice small analytics, so let me refresh quickly because this value will be changing. So far 92,000 drip have been hydrated, and we're still 9 hours into the day. So there's still 9 hours to finish up the day, and 92k were hydrated out of a potential 274k. You see, so a lot of people are hydrating now, and especially because of the no sell August challenge that Trey Barterdown has introduced, and is essentially telling the people to do not sell during August, and he will have a prize pool of $10,000 split between the no sellers. That's pretty cool. Anyways, so taking that into account, if we average the day, that would be about 130k out of 274.5k hydrated. It could be more. It will most likely be more. I just took the least possible amount. So those are the metrics. So out of this, we have a potential burn of 1950 daily, and that would translate to that much monthly. Alright, and that's hydrate. So imagine on a monthly basis we're taking out almost 59k drip tokens out of circulation. If you add the deposit side of it, so deposit, same situation, but from the deposit side you have less deposits because it also fluctuates on a monthly basis. So I took a monthly average of 30k deposits a day, and there's a 10% referral bonus, so that's 3,000 going to the team leads every single day. So what if instead of 10 you get 5, and then the other 5 is also split? 2.5 goes to the tax vault directly, and 2.5 is directly burned. So that's 750 a day. On a monthly basis, that's 22,500. But again, these numbers are not won't be exactly accurate because those are the least averages that I took into consideration. It will most probably be higher than this. So if you add these two up, you have about 5922. So that's 71,000 drip tokens, right? Sorry, 81,000 drip tokens. It's right here, yeah, potential burn, and most likely it will be more than that. It will be closer to 100k. So yearly projection will be about 1 million potential drip tokens burned. Now, one thing to consider is that even though we are burning tokens, we are reducing the tax supply input because the tax vault input, because eventually all of these tokens are migrated back to the tax vault, right? So now we have less potential drip into the tax vault, and that's also another problem that we need to consider, and hence my consideration right here. Now, inflation started approximately 2 months ago. About 500k tokens have been added. So if you remove 2 months worth of potential burn, that is the potential offset that could happen. So instead of having that much, we could have minted that much. That's also subject to doubt, because if we actually burn those tokens, that we have less into the vault, so more inflation, so we'd have more than 500k. But also keep in mind that even though, without me getting to the next step, even though just right now as it stands, if we do this, yes, true, we're taking the tokens away from the tax vault. However, we are actually decreasing the growth rate of the faucet obligations, right? Because we're not giving the team leads as we would have right now. We're giving them less, hence the faucet amount, the drip in the faucet will decrease, and over time that will emit less drip, hence less selling, hence less inflation, etc. So it's a snowball effect between decreasing the obligations and actually burning tokens. So this is not quite accurate because we haven't taken into account the drip faucet obligation increase, which is going to be less than 25%. I would argue it would be about 18 to 19% in this case. And that's pretty important. Now, like I said, this is as is. But now comes the cool part, we would actually add the utility coming up, right? So if we do add the utility coming up, just Scratchy alone, because we have about 15% is gonna go to the client hosting partner, right? Because I explained that in the previous video. Assuming all of this amount will go to Drip to buy back the token, right? What will happen is that my people are assuming that Scratchy will bring about 2000 BNB a day. I would say that's a bit too much, maybe 500, like my maximum projection is 500, between 500 and 700, knowing gamblers and all. So those calculations are based on this. So out of 500 BNBs, that's the USD amount that is gonna be used for buybacks. Now, assuming the price of Drip will be at around $10, so if it's less, that means more tokens, right? So I increase the price a bit because I assume by then the price will be more. So that would be that many tokens. However, we might get less, but with more buybacks. So that number will also fluctuate. A total monthly amount of 56,000 tokens will be added to the tax vault, and that's a conservative approach. And what will that do? Offset the tax vault reduction that we discussed a bit earlier because of the burning mechanism that would remove those. So instead of having 81k burned tokens that are removed from the tax vault, eventually we're going to offset that with another 56k. So now we have about 25k difference between these two. And like I said, this is a fluctuation amount, so it would also increase and take that offset even harder. And that's just Scratchy. Disregard the fact that we have lending and borrowing, the NFT game, and so on and so forth. So that's just one utility that will offset the depletion. So long story short, by burning tokens, you're reducing the maximum supply, you're adding more utility, increasing the tax vault again, and reducing the growth rate of the faucet obligations that is right now happening. So it's a win-win-win situation. That's how I see it, at least. And that is one side of it. Of course, a lot of tax changes could be done when selling. Maybe also a small percentage will be burned, etc., etc. So I took the most commonly known thing, changed it a bit, kept the awards for the team builders, but they also have to understand that in order to better the ecosystem and keep on getting that cash flow, something has to be changed. Alright guys, that's it from me today. Thank you for sticking around and listening whatever I had to say. Now I really hope you stuck around because there was a lot of rambling, but unfortunately if you want to put out a lot of information, this is what ends up happening. You have a bit of a longer video, but anyways, yeah, in my opinion, it adds some value, and hopefully you feel this way as well. And yeah, if you can, share it as much as you can, and let's put some eyes and